The algorithm tells me people love lists. And so what we're going to do is we're going to divide the Eastern Conference into tiers. And we've got 5 categories. We've got title contenders. We got the dark horses. We got playoff locks. We got play-in hopefuls. And Cameron crazies. Basically, yeah, I'll see you in Secaucus for the draft lottery. Let's get the duhs out of the way, shall we?
I'm kind of a duh guy. The Cameron crazies. We'll get those out of the way. Are these the teams that have the most Camerons on them? These are the teams that just have no shot, right? That's the Washington Wizards, the Charlotte Hornets, the Toronto Raptors, the Brooklyn Nets. Like, okay, we'll put them in that category. We've got the team that lives in the play-in mode is the Chicago Bulls. So they're super comfortable there. They're going to be the play-in team. And then you've got the Celtics.
They're the Van Wilder of play-in, right?
And then you've got the defending champs, the Celtics. Obviously have to put them up there with the title contenders, despite the fact they lost to the Raptors last night, despite the fact that they're 7-7 in their last 14, and despite the fact that Jason Tatum Olympics revenge tour lasted about a month because he's back to people just killing him for not being the leader and the dominant player that he needs to be.
Shout out to Brandon Jennings. All right. So now that we've got those out of the way, let's bring up some names that we can argue about, Izzy. What do we got?
We got the Cavaliers. They're 34-5. I mean, I don't know how you don't have them in the contender status, but I've got them in contender status.
You got a contender status. See, I'm one of those. I'm like Stugatz in the way I'll say, you got to prove it to me. This is a roster that has one guy who's made it out of the first round. And that guy hasn't made it out of the second round. And he's been banging against that door for a while. Yes, they've been the best team in the league this year. Yes, they've been amazing. I'm still I don't put them on the same level as the Celtics. I think the Celtics have earned the right to be thought of as better. So I got them as a dark horse. Let me put it this way. If the Cavs won the championship, I think we'd all be shocked.
Well, I'll give you not the favorites despite their record, but you have to put them in a contender status. I mean, it's not like the rest of the East is going to scare you, right? If you line them up against the Celtics right now in a series, I'd say, you know what? I think the Cavs have a chance.
I think the Cavs have a chance. I'm just saying, I don't know if I can give them the same respect as the Celtics in that regard because just of everything, of every part of it. The counterpoint is in 2015, we would have said the same thing about the Warriors. Right?
Okay. No, you're right. And you had to show it first. So we can sort of hang them in between dark horse and contender for now. How's that?
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got the New York Knickerbockers who send lovely press releases thanking Congress people for things. Their record is 27-15. They're plus 400 to win the East. They're dark horses, right? Like there's no part of this where you're like, that could be a team that represents the East in the finals for real.
Don't know because I kind of want to have them linger there in that Cavs situation and that in between contenders and dark horse. What makes them to me a dark horse and not immediately at contender status is that that video I sent you, that 7 of the top 3-man lineups in terms of minutes played are New York Knicks combinations. And the reason I've got them down for dark horse, because I think they've got a great balance. I think Mikal Bridges can be that guy that wins you a game every series and doesn't, he kind of comes out of nowhere. But I think they're going to be exhausted. And I don't think they're going to be able to last that long. And that's why I drop them down to dark horse if I had to.
We're literally headed right for the same spot that they went last year, where they just all fell apart right in front of our eyes. And who could have seen that coming, right? But the other reason is, Izzy, much like I said, you got to respect the Celtics. You can't put the Cavs on the same level. You got to respect the Cavs. You can't put the Knicks on the same level. You gonna put those two together? It's night and day, man.
Did you see the playoff series a couple of years ago between the Cavs and the Knicks?
That was 2 years ago. It's a different time, different teams. All right. What do we got
Different team here is the Philadelphia 76ers. They're 15-24. I thought they'd be worse than this at this point just because you never know who's going to play on any given night. Nothing about Embiid gives me confidence that they're going to go very far. So I think I've just got them in play-in hopefuls at this point.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. This is the rare play-in hopeful that is also a dark horse, right? Because on the one hand, the hole that I said early in the season, look, if they can get healthy by Christmas or New Year's, they've still got plenty of season left in order to dig themselves out of there. As of right now, they are in the 11th spot. They are 6 games back of Indiana for the 6th seed. Not entirely impossible, but also not, as long as people keep staying hurt, nothing about this gives me any kind of confidence that they're going to get it together. So yeah,
true or false? Paul George seems more engaged podcasting than he does playing basketball right now.
No comment.
I mean, he said I'm bored recently, so
He said to be fair, he said
no
he was
context
bored.
necessary. I mean, let's go to the next team.
Next team, Orlando Magic, everyone's darling sweetheart of even when you cut off my legs and tie my hand behind my back, I'm still here. 23-19. They are at plus 2,000 to win the East. Franz Wagner has returned to competitive conditioning after the oblique tear. Obviously, Paolo Banchero is back. We've seen him. He's been pretty good. Where is he for you?
I've got them. Wow, look at the Magic just all over the place. You never know. I've got them at dark horse. I think they need to make a move. Yes, I think. By the way, I was a little confused earlier as to which Wagner was missing most of the time. Mo Wagner is the least important of the two, so he's out for the year, but he was still a big piece. I think they need one offensive upgrade, and defensively, they're already there. So if Paolo just doesn't get hurt again, I think they're a dark horse. I could absolutely see them as sort of this year's Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm saying playoff lock, man.
Okay.
I just they are put them there, like bumping up against that threshold. I like them. I think they're overachievers though. And so overachievers typically 2023 Heat notwithstanding typically don't make deep runs. You win
it's funny you make that comparison because I called Paolo Banchero Jimmy Butler 2.0, a little bigger, a little stronger, maybe a little bit more offensive game at this point in his career. And so I think he could absolutely carry a team like that.
All right, let's go there. Yeah.
Let's go to the Bucks. I mean, we can just fly by this one. I have no idea really what to think of this team. I don't think Damian Lillard is going to be any different come playoffs. It's not like playoff Damian's going to show up. I see them as like a second round out regardless. I'll just put them as a playoff lock. That's about it.
Me too. I tried an NBA Cup. I was squinting. I said, maybe they're getting it together. And then they kind of were like very middling since Vegas. It wasn't
not Giannis's fault.
Yeah. It's not Giannis's fault. It might be Doc's fault. Either way, I'm all right with just keeping them where you got them as a playoff lock. All right, let's get real sexy here, Izzy. The Pistons, the Detroit Pistons, the once forgotten Pistons. They're 21-19, but they're 10-2 in their last 12. They had a big win at Madison Square Garden the other night, plus 25,000 to win the East. Izzy, where do you have the Pistons?
Let's get sexy with it and go to the D. I do believe that I will take a $5 flyer on that plus 25,000 to win the East. Here's why I have to eat a little bit of crow. I mean, I think I was a guest on the show recently, early this season, maybe right before the season started. And I think my quote on Cade Cunningham was, it's just okay. And I still think that he is not the number one on a championship level team. I still think I watched him so much last year. I was just like, wow, it's amazing what a good coach and some good teammates will do for you, but I still don't think he is that guy. However, I think this is a very well-rounded team. I think, any team with a Thompson on it, I'm a huge fan of, and Asar's been getting into a rhythm lately. I've got them, man, they're in the play. They're kind of hovering between playoff lock and play-in situation there because I think they could actually be really good. I think they could make one more move. I heard, you brought them up in terms of a three-way trade with Miami and maybe getting Bradley Beal. I think they're a move away from being a playoff lock.
Yeah, I think you can't call them a playoff. No. Playoff lock means they're going to make the playoffs, right? The Cavs are playoff lock. The Celtics are playoff lock, right? It's a minimum threshold. If you're flirting with it you're not a play-in hopeful. They're definitely not play-in hopefuls. They're definitely going to be in the play-in with a chance to maybe make the playoffs. So maybe we put them right at the top of the play-in hopeful thing. Then, I guess we got them halfway.
It almost feels like we needed another tier. By the way, the Pistons 10-2 in their last 12, so they could go on a considerable streak here and become a playoff lock.
Steve Martin. All right, who else we got?
Sorry, I was looking at the beautiful tiers system that we have here. Let's go to the Hawks here because this is another interesting one, and I kind of want to see the Hawks flying around the screen as well. They, in their last 15 games with Jalen Johnson, because I loved him as an addition, are 11-4. And when he's in there, they're really good. They've got Dyson Daniels with 3.1 steals per game right now. This kind of reminds me, to talk about the throwback, of what Larry Brown and the Sixers did for Allen Iverson, just basically surrounding him with rebounders and defenders and Dikembe Mutombo and sort of getting the best out of him. And that's what we're doing here with Trae Young. I think this team, Amin, is a dark horse. I've got them that high up because I believe Trae Young, if everybody's healthy around him and he finds their rhythm, Trae knows how to, win in these situations, but he also loves to be the villain. And he knows he wants those big moments, and the bigger the moment, the better he gets. I see this team as a potential dark horse.
You're going to put $5 on the Pistons at plus 25,000, but not $5 on the Hawks at plus 10,000?
$10. $10 on
$10. Wow. I don't know how you have the Hawks above the Magic, man. You're being disrespectful today, man. I've got them with the Pistons because there's a strong chance. Look, we earlier I called the Bulls the Van Wilder of play-in because they never graduate or whatever. But the Hawks and this next team we're about to talk about are very familiar with play-in land as well. The Miami Heat, they're 20-19. They're plus 3,500 to win the East. It's markedly different odds, and that's because, hey, look, we've seen them do it before, and so we give them that grace, I guess. Izzy, it feels like I don't want to taint your answer, but it feels like a gross malfeasance if we have them any higher than the Hawks and the Pistons.
It will definitely not be higher than the Hawks and the Pistons. I mean, you definitely overestimate my interest in having the Heat succeed here. Look, Tyler Herro is the only reason they're hanging on. Otherwise, they'd be in the Cameron Crazies. Idris Adebayo had a 7-shot performance, a 7 field goal attempt performance last night, which did not pair well with Tyler Herro's 34-point game. I think they're hinging right there between play-in hopefuls and Cameron Crazies. But let's be fair. Let's cozy them right in between the Bulls and the Sixers, because wasn't that the two teams that they last had to get through to get to the play-in, right? They lost to the Sixers and then beat the Bulls. So let's put them right there, because I wouldn't be surprised if that's the exact same path they have to go through.
The funny thing is the way this is playing out is that we're going to have like 11 teams for what should be 10 spots. Mm-hmm. So, but they're playing hopefuls, right? Like it gives us the grace that, hey, an 11 seed is a playing hopeful. All right. The next team is who? The Pacers.
Oh, I'll take this one. I mean, because they're only plus 3,000, right? But we got we know Tyrese Halliburton is the key to this team, right? We know they want to run, and if they can defend, then they are a legitimate team, right? And I'm gonna give you a number here on a player and some numbers here on a player that most people probably don't even think is this much of an impact on a team. Andrew Nembhard, his on-off numbers, second highest in the league, behind who? Nikola Jokic. Okay. Yep. And it is wild. And by the way, who's third is SGA. And so this guy defensively MVP is huge for this team. Now, those numbers kind of went down a little bit because Tyrese missed a game and they got clobbered. And so those on-off numbers aren't the same as they were, let's say, on January 12th. But if he can sort of lead this team to play any sort of defense, I think I've got them in the sort of lingering between dark horse and playoff lock, but I'll firmly put them in there at playoff lock.
What I'm hearing from you is that Andrew Nembhard should be in the MVP conversation bar, right there with his other fellow plus minus.
You just did it. You just put him in the conversation. So
it's a bar. So like some people can get in. It's complicated. I'll explain to you later. But I agree with you, because I think the other name with regards to Pacers defense is Aaron Nesmith, and I think he's a huge part of what they were able to do last year defensively in order to win playoff series. And the thing that people need to remember is last year they didn't have Benedict Mathurin. He got hurt in the middle of the year, so he missed a lot of the fun stuff. So in essence, in a playoff kind of scenario, Indiana's probably even more dangerous than they were last year, even though they're not playing quite yet as well as they did last year at this point.
Pacers Hawks would be a really fun playoff series.
Yeah, it would. It'd be on NBA TV though. So all right, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at this board. Are we happy with this? We got the Celtics as the lone title contender. I know you have thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they are clear in a way the favorites, but you have to respect them. I think this list looks perfect. I think if you would have started the season and put this list together, you say, well, it's a little wacky. The Cavaliers, what are they supposed to be? What are they doing up there? But as this season has played out, that's pretty much exactly how it should be pictured right now.